All right, what is up, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. So there's been a lot of talk about a $2,000 payout to US citizens.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
I'm going to try and keep it to the point, okay? Just make this video clear some things up for somebody who might be wondering what's going on. So I guess the best place to start is with Trump's actual post on Truth Social. Truth Social is Trump's actual platform that he founded. I think most people probably know that. And let's just go ahead and read this here, what he said, his little tweet or whatever you want to call it. People that are against tariffs are fools. We are now the most richest, most respected country in the world with almost no inflation and a record stock market price. 401ks are the highest ever. We are taking in trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt, $37 trillion. Okay, recorded investments in the USA, plants and factories are going up all over the place. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone. All right, I'm sorry. I tried my best to read that there. He just kind of talks in a funny way. I don't know. Maybe I should have impersonated him. Oh, well. So first things first, he said that there's little to no inflation in this country. I think whether there is inflation or not in this country is up for debate, okay? That's a pretty big topic to be spouting on about. So he's also talking about paying off our national debt, which is 37 trillion, which I believe that number is pretty accurate. It should be coming from the president. For one, let's just face it, bro. We are fucked, okay? We are screwed. That's a lot of money to be in debt, okay? And for two, not to get too technical here, but the US government actually doesn't care that much about inflation. In fact, they have every reason to love inflation because inflation doesn't do anything but help the government pay off national debt. And just look that up. It's a game strat. It's a tactic they've used in the past and are still using to today. Not to mention, inflation also helps out the rich, okay? Just anybody who's rich. I would argue that most people in our government probably sit on the more wealthy side of the spectrum. Just to break it down kind of simply here, if there's someone who owns a mansion in the US, all right, in the United States, someone owns a mansion in the US worth $1 million, and then in a couple of years due to inflation, their house or their mansion is now worth $2 million or even $3 million, which that does happen, okay? That happened in my house. That happens in more expensive houses. Just look it up, dude. The past 10, 15 years, the price of housing has doubled or tripled. It depends on the area, the house, all that. But either way, back to the point. If you own a mansion that goes up to $2 or $3 million due to inflation and just the overall pricing market, all you did was make money. Inflation helps out the people who own all the assets, which I would argue Trump owns a lot of assets. And not to be rude to our current sitting president, but I just personally believe he loves the idea of money more than anything at this point. And that's not a baseless statement either. Just look at the Trump coin, the whole Bitcoin/crypto scandal, the lobbying, and the foreign lobbying especially. All these things are bringing in massive amounts of money to him, okay? To him solely. But I mean, at the end of the day, he was a businessman all his life. So yeah, I don't know what else you would expect. But I know someone out there is probably going to hear this or something and they're going to be like, well, Creamy, don't you think that's pretty smart? Don't you think he's being a pretty smart businessman making all that money? And hey, I admit that is pretty smart, okay? I don't want to bash him too hard. But let's just think about it, all right? As president of the United States of America, don't you think you should have a little bit more priorities than making another $1 billion for yourself? Like, you already got generational wealth, okay? And the average American keeps getting lied to that inflation is going to be fixed when it's not, okay? I'm just sorry to break it to you, but I think whether you love or hate Trump, he is not fixing inflation in a single term, okay? Which is already about a fourth of the way done. Like, that's just not happening, bro. You can't just reverse inflation, okay? They talk about getting rid of inflation like it's going to happen tomorrow. For something like that to happen, that can't happen. It's going to take time. Even if we really change things up and we really got on the path that fixing inflation, it's still going to take time. So I don't know why they all talk about it like they're just going to fix it tomorrow with the snap of their fingers. Inflation gone. No, that's not how it works. And also, again, I think this is just a problem with how things are kind of being run here, I guess, in America. There's no sole person who's responsible for inflation. So nobody feels fully responsible. Obviously, we have the president, but Trump, I mean, no offense to him or anything, but why would he really care about fixing inflation? He's going to be out of office in the next 4 years anyway, or the next 3 years, I guess, at this point. And then inflation is the next person's problem. But they're going to be like, well, we'll start to get it on the right track, but really it's going to have to be the next president that really looks into this. And then it's just this chain that gets passed down and down and down. And then, I don't know, bro. I think a lot of people don't realize that this is a spiral. This is a pattern that's going to keep happening until our money ultimately just becomes valueless. And hey, I'm no expert, but if someone feels upset about something I just said, feel free to debate me in the comments, bro. I will go at you. Okay, we can talk it up. Anyways, sorry for that little tangent, but now on to the actual $2,000 paycheck, baby. Give me that money. Let's just start picking this apart. So, technically, the Senate and Congress would still have to basically sign the bill in order for this to legally go into effect. I mean, Trump might have the money to personally hand out $2,000 to every single one of us. I don't think I see any legal thing preventing him from doing that, but I don't think Trump is actually that rich. And just real quick to do the math, there's about 340 million people in the US today, okay? As of recording this, it's November 20th. Now, not everyone is going to receive a paycheck, okay? Let's just say some people are excluded from this for whatever else reason, and then some people aren't high income earners. Assuming only 200 million people were to receive a payout of $2,000, that adds up to about 400 billion, which is almost half a trillion. Now, it could be less or more, but either way, that's a shitload of money. But yeah, that's just assuming it passes through our government anyway, since Trump actually doesn't get to decide on his own. Like, he makes it sound like that, but that's really not the case here. But anyways, back to the post. It's pretty vague because it said excluding high income people. Like, what does that even mean? I think in my genius brain, okay, this is my thought process. I think that they're going to try to do this to some extent, okay? I think this is probably going to get passed. But if it's too much money, they're just going to keep lowering the amount, the income amount that makes you viable to receive a payout. For example, if it's too much money to pay out everyone who makes over 100K a year, then they will just lower that amount, okay? And they're going to lower the limit to, let's just say, 50K a year. Now everyone who makes 50K won't receive anything, or makes over 50K, I should say, won't receive anything, versus if you were to make over 100K. Basically, if they can't afford to pay everybody out, they're just going to lower the amount. You know what I mean? And if it gets too serious to where, like, he really wants to keep his word, they might just say, hey, fuck it. If you make over $100, you are a high income earner and you are not going to be receiving anything. And therefore, everyone who makes under $100 is basically homeless. So everyone who makes under $100 is going to be receiving a $2,000 paycheck. So there's going to be a bunch of bums with iced out rollies or whatever. I don't know. They're going to have $2,000 and the drug dealers are all going to have a heyday. Obviously, that's a joke, but I think you get my point. Again, if this passes, I believe anyone receiving a paycheck would likely have the money in hand sometime mid-2026, okay? That's just what I looked up. I don't know. That's what AI said. Don't bash me for using AI on that one. How am I supposed to know when the payouts are coming? So mid-2026 is when you can expect any of this to go down. But yeah, I know I kind of got on a little rant there. I kind of went a little ranty. So just to sum this up, as it stands, a $2,000 paycheck for Americans, excluding high-income earners, is not yet approved. And if it did get approved, we don't really know what high income means. So we don't know really who to expect is going to be getting all that. Or maybe you do know. Maybe you know exactly what a high income earner is. And if you do know, feel free to let me know in the comments, because I actually don't know what qualifies as a high income earner. All in all, I wouldn't get your dicks wet too early because we don't know if this is really going to happen. Now, me personally, I would love to see this happen, but I guess we will see with due time. And honestly, yeah, I think I covered about everything there. So potentially I'm assuming you have to be 18 at least, an adult, you have a job, you're doing something. There's going to be some standards here. It's going to have some legality all put into it. But at the end of the day, about sometime next year, hopefully you and me are going to be getting $2,000. If I had to guess a 1 out of 10 likelihood of this happening, I would probably say an 8, because it's not like they haven't done this before. So honestly, I think there is a pretty good chance of this happening. So if that does happen, kudos to Trump, bro. Despite all the controversy, which can be, that's a whole separate video. If I get $2,000, I will personally suck Donald Trump's dick.
I'm gonna come.